What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another video on the Dragon SMP. Last time I told you I was working on an underwater city, and that is still continuing. But first, I have to explore this weird ice path I found in the ocean. I came across an ocean monument that had already been looted. It seemed that this was actually someone else's base that they were living in. And they had a ton of loot. Then I found the player who actually lived here. This player was Rick, who actually visited my island not too long ago. I also noticed the red trims, marking that he was with the netherite people that I managed to trick the other day. So I left immediately, hoping he didn't see that I was at his base. Once I was home, I decided to finish the greenhouse that I started last time. After mostly finishing the greenhouse, I decided to gear up a bit and head over to the community island because a player by the name Mixo said he had a story to tell.
A long time ago, there was a man named Amethyst who lived in a desert near a village. Every day he would glare at the nearby pillager outpost in the distance, fearing they would raid the village one day. Amethyst loved the village because he would go there every day and trade them valuable emeralds, and he would repay them in his own religious offerings, even though no one understood them. He lived comfortably, thanks to the villagers treating him with kindness. But then one night he heard it. The pillagers were raiding the village. Ophtheus geared up and ran to the village, hoping to save the remaining villagers. But the amount of raiders was too much for Ophtheus's lack of strength. And eventually, he grew tired and able to fight the pillagers. He was captured and thrown into a cell with his friends, knowing he would never be free. That night he prayed to the deity Herobrine, hoping he would give him strength. And that night the spirits granted his prayer, giving him a weapon with mass amounts of power. A blade that gave the user speed and stamina like no other item could. Ophtheus used it to slay every pillager in that outpost, freeing his friends and heading home. The village was destroyed, but Ophtheus used his weapon to cut down trees and rebuild a new home for them. However, zombie hordes came and attacked the last of the villagers. Ophtheus and the golem attacked the horde. However, his strength was too powerful. His fury was so powerful that he took down his own companion. The villagers condemned him and kicked him out of the home. Ophtheus was angry, but he knew that his gift was the source of his trouble. So he stuffed the blade in a sack and traveled to a place where no one would hopefully find it. The end. Ophtheus traveled far into the end, through the forests, and found a place for the sword, constructing a small temple he could protect for eternity with his life, until his inevitable death. The sword is left unprotected, leaving the next traveler to claim its abilities.
Based off Mithio's story, the sword was in the end. I rushed over to the nearest stronghold, as Mithio had told this story to everyone on the server. When I entered the end, I realized I wasn't the only one here looking for the sword. Two netherite players with the red trims by the name Fluff and Void were here. While the dragon had been defeated, this is actually my first time entering the end, so everyone else had elytras while I didn't have any. This would make finding the sword much harder, but I had to check to see if the sword was even real. They went their own direction, so I decided to go the opposite way. And even if the sword wasn't real, I could still get an elytra and some gear. Luckily, I was granted extra health thanks to the kills I got last season. decided to drop the whole sword hunt because I didn't even know where it was. It could be millions of blocks in the end.
Hey, Expo.
So, are we dropping the sword hunt thing?
I don't know, to be honest.
I believed the sword had to be a legend, and decided to go back to building because nobody else could find it. Now that I was done with the greenhouse, I could finally start working on this other part of the underwater city, my villager trading hall. I then returned to my castle to retrieve some more building materials, and also upgrade my electric with mending and unbreaking. What I was about to learn though is that nowhere on this SMP am I safe.